Among other things, I started using Emacs, so I apologize if my Kata is a little slow. But the first thing I did was did the ObjGrid inline printing. So if I have a class here called Fred, does he owe me money?
Nice.
Oh!
Whoa.
Yeah, nice.
I got you covered, buddy.
Nice.
Keep up
your text on all that. Yeah, make the font bigger. Do you know how? Yeah.
Okay, so this is going to be a method that pulls in RSS feeds and will print out what the new RSS feed is based on what was called last time. So first, let's have a class, and we want to initialize this class with a feed.
What's the Kata again? Sorry.
So we're going to go through RSS feeds. We're going to pull them, and then we're going to print to the terminal all the last posts based on what was called before.
So a replacement for Google Reader.
No, not quite. So we have our RSS feeds class. If you don't call it with any arguments, we want us to raise an error. Run our test. And message back. Because it's not an if block. Okay. And you fail. And we test
Hey,
pass.
can I get bigger text on the right-hand side too?
All right.
Thank you.
So to create new review methods, we call this an initialize method. And this basically says what you need to pass in when you instantiate a class. Here we're just passing in a feed, and we're going to call feed on it. And then probably just spell it down. Initialize content Fred. Not even there anymore. He is. Alright, it passes. Okay, so all these files. So the cool thing about Ruby is that there's a lot of cool gems out there. One really great gem for parsing RSS feeds is one called Zura, with R's pronounced the way Asian people pronounce L's, I guess. It has some pretty cool methods. There's this feed Zura module, I think, and it has a fetch and parse method. And then if you pass in a string, say spark funds, RSS feed, like that. And it's showing me an error because I got to require it. There we go. Okay, so this is basically you get a giant object for your RSS feed. Really cool stuff. So let's see some cool stuff with it. So next thing I want to do is I want to print messages. So let's go ahead and create a left block because we're going to use a Spark Fun class. Messages should match. Let's see, what is this? With our feed class, we have some entries, which basically collects all the RSS posts in an array. Let's see what the first item is. No, Coco. Okay, so I realize really messy because I use the mouse, but yeah. After thanks. It should right now. Okay. So run that. You should fail because there's no messages. And just call what we have here. We have a feed entries first title. Still fail because I'm choose for string. Okay, and the reason is because we're not calling the fetch and parse method on initialize. We pretty much want to do this all the time. So whatever URL we pass into the feed, I just want to call parse feed every time. This. And there we go. Cool. But hanging out just RSS messages doesn't really get us a whole lot. What I'd like to do is I would like to make sure that we only print out the latest messages. I envision this is going to be a script that runs a few times a day, and we don't want to be printing the same messages over and over. People follow me on that? Okay, cool. So what I like to do is I like to create little stub files that have what the last incarnation of this RSS feed class, whenever it runs, we're going to put whatever was called in a separate file. So we'll just call this create RSS file. And it should write a new file. RSS file. And then we want to say that there's going to be a new file. We can put in like the lid, and then process, eat, process, and then we'll call it the title of the feed. And then for our spec, we still have to say that should be true, or you can wrap it in a spec block. It might be a little clearer. And we have a failure. Undefined method create RSS file. Alright, let's see what it says now. Yes. So this feed here, I want to be able to use it all over the place. So what I need to do is create a matter writer and reader. I don't want to change the value, I just want to update the value. Sorry, I just want to read the value. Now I get what the copies. I'm not creating an RSS file. So the way we can do that is we can just call file open, we pass in this. And then the second argument is that we have to write the file. And after that, we get a block to put whatever goes in the file. So we can write such file directories, so we need to create a directory if one doesn't exist. So in Ruby, we have access to something called the file utils module, I think. Maybe it's that. But basically, you can do like all your bash commands through Ruby. So if I run files utils, make directory, yeah, okay, cool. But we want to not only just write a new file, we also don't want it to write a new file when we're checking the same RSS. Well, running short time, so we should not be posting multiple messages. So when we create our messages the first time, we should want the length to be 10 because there's 10 messages in the Spark fun thing. 30. So 1 to 30. But the next time you run it, let's say we just do this all over again. File exists. Okay. So I guess I gotta go back to clear this one. This make dir will always keep trying to make the file and throw an error. So you have to write this to make sure that doesn't go there. What? Unless, yes. Okay. But the next time you run Spark Fun, we should make this equal to 0. And it's going to say we got 30 again. Okay. So with this test, there's a lot of stuff you got to do. I wanted to store data in files and then check files. I don't want a formal database or anything. And Ruby has a class called the Marshall class, which does that for you. So let's say that first, this messages, I want to change feed entries to new messages, or sorry, new entries. And then right now we will just, that is just equal to our feed entries. Just make sure that's passed, and we'll delegate that to a different method. And okay, everything passed at this one, which is fine. Okay, so now we want to check whether or not the RSS file have it. So first we want to check if file exists that has the feed title in it. If it has the feed title in it, then we know that we know that we tried to run our script against that RSS feed, and we should check to see if there are any posts or not. So that means if
you have an extra double quote inside here.
yes, thank you. That means if there isn't a file that exists, we can just return the entries. So okay. So with Marshall class, you get load and dump. So the next thing we want to do is compare the old Marshall file versus the new one, and we can load. then we can see if the new entry equal to the old entry. If that's true, then, sorry, I'm not writing a lot of tests, but I'm really thinking of a way how to. This one right here. So if the first entries are equal to the old entries, then we're going to, so if the first title equals the first title of the RSS feed we have saved, and we're just going to return an empty array. But otherwise, we want to return an array of the feed entries, and we want to delete the ones that are in the old folder. We can do this by seeing when the entry was published and comparing that to whenever the last one was published. Whenever the first entry of the saved RSS feed was published. Okay. So what I don't have here is how we have to write the files too. We can't just return an array. So here, when the current feed and the old feed are the same, we return nothing. Here we want to override the new file. So we can do that by file.read. File it open with everything here. And then so here we can call Marshall dump, and then repeat,
Missing .txt all over the place.
thank you.
Like in your test too.
Am I seeing another one?
I think that's it.
Okay. So in this case, we want to write a new file with our Marshall data.
Did that differently than the line above. Line.
Yep.
Yeah, you should capitalize Marshall.
Right.
And delete one of the L's.
And I think because I messed up, there's an incompatible Marshall format. So we just have to leave the folder and start over. So just to make sure I make the new directory, I'm going to copy this down. And all my tests fail.
create RSS file doesn't actually create an RSS file for starters.
I do know that, but I'm not calling it anywhere. I'm just looking at this method, new entries one.
When you created it, it needed .txt.
Create what?
Yeah, that create RSS file means .txt.
He's not.
So, I guess when you have tests and you wonder why they pass, look up on Google. Sorry, I haven't seen this before.
You should look at what's actually in the file when you wrote something weird, like
Okay.
Oh yeah,
like
you
on the
wrote
plane
that.
looking for nil or something.
Probably wrote that in there.
Probably.
At the very beginning.
Oh, that's everything.
Is that the one that failed?
Well, it might have had yeah in it at some point, but then his tests went on to run.
Yeah, and this should force it to.
Try writing your test again.
Alright, so maybe I shouldn't use this Marshall class module. Sorry, guys. Alright, well, okay. I'll just show you the solution. What?
I've seen that error before when I'm trying to accidentally commercial JSON.
Yeah.
Basically, anytime game gives you one commercial file, it will break that error.
Okay.
So I figured that whatever the reason the file was just not correct.
So you mean like something from here is not correct? Okay.
Or just how you're reading, I can try to find it.
I'm reading it by ooh. This is bad. Alright, so alright, different errors, good. I don't know. I guess I'll show the view one. So basically, it goes through this work, and yeah, that's it. But because this is the completed solution, I wanted to ask in the next section, like, how should I refactor this method? It's really ugly.
So
Did you?
Yeah. What?
Did you actually read the file? Did you just open it?
I read the file.
Wait, was this the version you just had, or was this?
No, this is the version that works.
This is the version that
Well,
works, yeah.
Just the version that didn't work. Alright. Actually,
Yeah.
very good. Just open.
Alright, I had a comment about that. You're calling delete if, which actually modifies the array that it's called on.
Bigger text, please.
Yeah. So I think you should really call reject, because that'll be
Reject.
a new array.
Okay.
Oh, and I see that you found make dir
Make your P.
Yeah.
You don't need the LS on the end of that.
Yeah.
Wasn't that one
All right.
And I just found out there's an alias called mkpath for it.
Make DIRS is also an alias for it.
Oh, make dir.
a lot of aliases for it.
Yeah, because make key is kind of obscure.
Yeah.
Well,
Make
it's
Unixy.
If you don't know the bash.
Yeah.
If you know the bash, you know exactly what that's doing.
Also, I guess your test seems pretty
No,
confusing.
it can't be.
Yeah.
Because it's opening from duck.
Yeah, so the test seems pretty confusing to me because you said context to create RSS feed.
Okay.
And then the stuff under it wasn't actually testing the create RSS feed
Yeah.
method.
Okay.
And also you could have used the word describe instead, so that is more
Okay.
English-like. Yeah.
Right, so you can set up
Is there time for comments?
Yeah, this is comments right now. Yeah.
Any comments for Nick?
Yeah,
Questions?
so you made this create file test, and then it seemed like later on in your new entries method you weren't using create file.
Yeah.
So it seemed like maybe
I
if
tried to
you
do
had
something on the fly that I shouldn't have.
yeah, so maybe if you had written another test for create files to check that
Don't
there's
do it on
actually
the
the right
fly.
stuff in it.
Unless you're
That would
Jason.
be
It works.
Okay.
So the other thing you need to do, Nick, is create a method that returns the path plus found.txt so that you're not recreating that.
Do this over and over again.
And you've got that in at least 4 places.
All right. So I'll just like
Call it file
about that.
path.
All right. Do something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say this whole new entries method is trying to do too much for a single method.
Yes.
And that's why you have trouble testing.
Yeah. So, like Ryan would say, separate the create files part, and then test that separately. Yeah.
And it's weird that there are 2 different lines of code to write this file, and they are just slightly different. And I don't understand why.
What do you mean, 2 different files?
Well, line 43 and line 37 look the same at first glance, but you have different arguments to Marshall.film.
This is just like a forced rewrite. I saw. Because here the Marshall file already exists. But I'll still work.
Yeah. So then now that you've made them the same, you could make it much more readable by putting that in a method if it still works.
Still create a method.
Okay.
That still works. So I'll just like 1 minute. Okay.
Yeah.
It's going to need some arguments.
Oh, well, feed that instance variable.
Yeah, sorry. What do you put it?
Hang on, I'll pitch you 1 second. Alright.
It'll be security.
Oh, yeah.